Shabbat, 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 Shalom. So good Shabbos on this fall Shabbat day. We're going to begin with Shiru Ladonai, sing a new song unto God. Sandy is going to lead us. I can.
Sing unto God on the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru Ladonai Kol haaretz. Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru Ladonai Kol haaretz. Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash.
Yesher Koach to Sandy. We'll continue with Psalm 98, page 133. Mizmor Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash Ki Nifaot Asa Hoshialo Yemino Usaro Azro Akocho Hodia Adonai Yeshuato Leine Hagoyim Gilat Tzidkato Azachar Chasto Vemunato Leveit Yisrael Ra'u Cholav Se Aretz Et Yeshuat Eloheinu Yaelai Lai Hariu Ladonai Kol Haaretz Pihitzku Beranenu V'Zameru Zamru Ladonai Bechinor Bechinur v'kol zimra Bechatzotrot v'kol shofar Hari lifnei Melech Adonai Yiram hayam Umelo Tevel V'yoshveva Yaelai narot yemchu chaf Yachad harim yeranenu Lifnei Adonai ki hiva lishpot haaretz Yishpot tevel betzedek Ve'amim b'mei shaharim Ayai, lai, lai, lai. Ayai, lai, 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 lai. Ayai, lai, lai, lai. Ya la, lai, 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 lai. Ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 hey ya la 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 hey ya la 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 hey ya la 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 ya la 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 Adonai malach yirgazu ami. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu v'shtachavu lahar kodsho ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Mizmor leDavid havulah b'nei Eli. Adonai oz le'amo yitain Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Page 138. L'chadodi, we welcome the Shabbat bride. L'chadodi likrat kala yalala 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 Pnei Shabbat Kabbalat L'chadodi likrat kala yalala 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 Pnei Shabbat Kabbalat Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad Ishmiyanu El Miyuchad Adonai Echad Ushamo Echad L'Shem U'Tiferet V'Litila L'Chadodi Likrat Kala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Kabbalat L'Chadodi Likrat Kala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Kabbalat Mikdash Melech Ir Melucha Kumitzei Mitoch Ha'amecha Rav Shevet Be'emek HaBacha Behu Yachamol Alayichem La L'Chadodi Likrat Kala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Kabbalat L'Chadodi Likrat Kala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Kabbalat Hitoriri Kiva Ore Kubi Ori Uri Shir Daberi Kevod Adonai Alayich Nigla L'Chadodi Likrat Kala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Kabbalat L'Chadodi Likrat Kala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Kabbalat V'hayulim shisa she'osayich v'rachaku kol mavalayich yasis alayich Elohayich kimsos chatan al kala L'Chadodi Likrat Kala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Kabbalat L'Chadodi Likrat Kala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Kabbalat O Li v'shalom ateret ba'ala gam v'simcha u'b'tzola Tochem u'nei am segula Koi kala lechadoli likrat kala yalala 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 Today Shabbat v'kabila lechadoli likrat kala yalala 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 Today Shabbat v'kabila. Page 263 in the Sidur for Chetzi Kaddish. Yitkedal v'yitkedash shemei rabba v'yalma divrach irtei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon u'vyomechon uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael b'gala b'gala Ubisman kari v'imru amen. Yehesh me rabba mevorach le'olam lo me'almaya yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha berichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'yalma v'yemeru amen. Baruch Hu, page 264. Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer?
Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared?
Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Baruch Adonai, Amen. Le'olam va'ed. Le'olam va'ed. Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Page 265 and 266, we give thanks to the Holy One for the creation of light and darkness, for the changing of times and seasons, and for the gift of Torah, for the learning that we celebrate in our lives and that guides us along our way. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidbaro ma'ariv aravim, v'chochma potach sha'arim, u'bitbuna meshana itim, u'machalip et hazmanim, u'mesader et hakochavim b'mishmaroteim barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'lala golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, u'ma'avir yom u'mevi laila, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים תמיד, ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, Ama'ariva Ravi. Page 266. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochmeinu u'v'kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu u'vahem nega yomam v'layla Tavat tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Page 267. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Yai lalai, 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 yai lai, lai, lai. Yai lalai, 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 lai. Yai lalai, 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 yai lai, lai, lai. Yai lalai, 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 lai. Yai lalai, 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 yai lai, lai, lai. Yai lalai, 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 lai. Yai lalai, 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 yai lai, lai, lai. Yai lalai, 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 lai. And you shall love, love with all of your heart, your soul, and with all of your might. And you shall teach your children to hope, to love, and to know what is right. Yai lalai, 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 yai lai, lai, lai. Yai lalai, 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 lai. Yai lalai, 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 yai lai, lai, lai. Yai lalai, 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 lai. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Page 268. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadavarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha Uvlachtecha havaderech, ukshochbecha uvtumecha, ukshartam laot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitacha uvisharecha. Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim leloechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim. Lihiyot lachem l'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Adonai Elohechem. Amen. Bottom of 269. Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High. We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate the power that makes for freedom. Moshe u'Miriam u'bnei Yisrael lecha anu shira b'simcha rabba ve'amaru chulam. Nichamocha, page 270. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai. Mi chamocha edar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot osef behelem. Nora tehilot osef behelem. Won't you help to sing the song of freedom? Malchutecha ra'u v'nacha bokei hayam b'fnei Moshe u'Miriam. Zeh Eli anu v'amaru Adonai leolam va'ed. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? These songs of freedom, redemption song. ונאמר כי פדה על יעקב וגואלו מיד חזק ממנו. Blessed is said, Adonai redeemed Yaakov from a hand stronger than his own. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Praise to you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Hashkivenu, a prayer for peace. We ask God, Pros aleinu sukat shlomecha, spread over us the sukkah of your peace.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Rishon. Ve'hamidenu, Shomrenu lechai. Ufos aleinu, Sukat shalom lecha. Hashkivenu, And understanding among us, let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Page 272. V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam b'ni u'vein b'nei Yisrael Oti leolam leolam ki sheishet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz uvayom hashavi Shabbat Depending on where you are, we can rise as able for tefillah beginning on page 273.
Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Yalalai, lai, lai, 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 yalalai. Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot Imahot, U'Mevi Goel Livnei B'neihem, L'man Shemo V'Yahava. Nala Kozero V'Shil Magi, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magei Avraham Bezrat Sarah.
Page 275. Atagi bor le'olam Adonai mechayim mitim atarav lehoshia Mashiva ruach u'morid hagashem mechalkel chayim bechesed mechayim mitim berachamim rabim Somech noflim verofech olim. Umatir asurim. Umekayem emunato. Lishenei afar. Bichamocha bal gevurot. Umido melach. Melech memit umechayeh. Umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'amana talachayot metim. Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hametim. 276. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalalu chatzala. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh. We'll continue with the rest of Tefillah on our own. Silently, the Hebrew or the English through page 282, or your own heart's private prayers and meditation. Oh, say shalom, shalom, bimromav. Uya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Uya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oh, say shalom, shalom bimromav. Uya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'yimru amen. Be seated. give thanks for the good, for the blessings, the things that we are grateful for on this week. Maybe for some of us, big milestones in life, for others, small but significant things that have made a difference along the way. So I invite you, if you're here, if you want to share anything, just raise your hand and share. If you're online, feel free to type your gratitude into the chat, and we'll try to get to it for you. Anybody here?
I got braces on Monday.
Wow. So that's good, right? Even though it hurts?
Yes.
Okay. That's like, so for orthodonture? Yes.
Rabbi, I'd like to give thanks to my son. He was just commissioned as an army officer.
Wow.
Super proud.
Mazel tov. Yeah.
Sorry, I got
That's okay.
super proud.
Happens to us.
Where's he going to be posted? Does he know?
Yeah, I spent a year in Georgia first. I got commissioned as an infantry officer. So a year of training in Georgia, sometime in the middle of that. Big where.
Okay.
So
Congratulations, Mazel tov. And, be safe and be well. Similar, I guess, on a similar in the chat from Addie. Ben graduated from Warrant Officer Candidate School and earned a promotion from Sergeant to NCO. So Mazel tov to Ben, Chan Waxman. Lev, did you have were you? No. From Sylvia, I took my grandson to the Warhawk Museum. He was a light to be with, knew a lot about the weapons, and was fun to share the time with. So for these and for all that we are grateful for in our lives, we say Modim Anachnu Lach. We give thanks to you, Creator and Sustainer and Source of life. May we go from strength to strength and offer our abundant gratitude along the way. And let us say Amen. Now we are going to turn to prayers for healing. And again, in a moment, I'll ask anybody who is here if you have names of people you are holding in prayers for healing. If you're online, too, I invite you to share. Again, any folks you are holding in prayers for healing in the chat. My friend Stephen Epstein, Issachar Dov, Ben Rachel, others. Sandy.
Marty,
And Marty.
Miriam Lang, Harry Brown, and Bobby.
David Salzberg, for Douglas Wolf, for Shira, Ivan, and for Dave House, for Vicky Rentschler and Fran Frank, for Miriam Bracha, Miriam Backrack, for Arlen Donald. So for these and for all who we are holding in our prayers, page 371, for Misha Beirach.
May the source of strength who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
So I'm going to share my screen in a moment so that you can follow along with some of the text that I'll be drawing from in looking at our portion. I want to begin just by noting that the weather seems suitable, as this week we're on Parshat Noach, the story of Noah. So, the beginning of the rains coming seems appropriate for where we are in the Torah cycle. And I'd like to look at a series of very short verses in the portion that at first I'm sure, have probably read past these verses many, many times if you're familiar with the story and not noticed them. But the rabbis, their job is to read very closely and to notice in the Midrash. And that's what they do. And I'm going to take you along a little bit of a journey with them. So give me a moment here. Okay. So the portion begins before the flood. God is commanding Noah and his family to enter into the ark. They are clearly going to be the saving remnant who will perpetuate life with the animals that they will shepherd through the flood when the rains cease. And in the Hebrew, the phrasing is Vayomer Adonai leNoach bo ata v'chol beitecha. Come into the ark, says God to Noah, you and all of your household. And the text then goes on to say, Vayavo Noach uvanav ishto uneshevanav ito. Noah with his sons, his wife and his son's wife went into the ark because of the waters of the flood. What the rabbis notice here is that the wording of how they enter the ark is not what one would expect. The expected wording would be Noah and his wife, his sons, and his sons' wives went into the ark. But the way the phrase is worded in the text implies that there's a kind of separation between the men and the women. They went in literally, as the text says, Noah with his sons, his wife with his sons' wives. So they go into the ark because of the waters with the flood. And just a few verses later, we have a reiteration of this, where it says, that same day when the rains began to fall, Noah and Noah's sons, now named here, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, went into the ark, and Noah's wife and the three wives of his sons went into the ark. So the question is, the rabbis ask for us, why is it that we have this separation? God does not ask for it. God just says, go with your household into the ark. And yet when they go into the ark, Noah goes in with his sons, Noah's wife goes in with the daughters-in-law. The rabbis suggest that this moment, this time of extraordinary crisis, of catastrophe, when the whole world is essentially on the brink of destruction, is a time for people to refrain from intimacy. Perhaps there's also a call for this with the animals. After all, they're going to be shut on a very small ark. And as they're floating on the waters in this relatively confined situation, this is not the right moment to be fruitful and multiply. But it makes us think, how do we respond in our personal lives to disaster around us? How does our own response coincide and not coincide with the responses of others around us and of the world itself? Now we're going to fast forward a chapter, a little more than a chapter. And when the waters start to recede and Noah has sent out the birds, and eventually the dove brings back the olive branch, indicating that there is dry land and that they can come out of the ark. The text has God saying to Moses, this time very explicitly, Semin hateva ata ve'ishtecha uvanecha u'neshevanecha itach. Come out of the ark, together you with your wife, and your sons with your sons' wives. In other words, God is suggesting this is a new time. The world is beginning again. It's time for intimacy to be restored. It is time again to be fruitful and multiply. But Noah doesn't seem to get the message. I'm going to scroll down for those of you who are following along. This is verse 8, chapter 8, verse 18. The text says, in response to God's request, Noah came out together with his sons, and his wife came out with his sons' wives. So when God has specifically said, now I want you to come out in couples, Noah doesn't heed. So perhaps wondering what's going on with Noah, God takes him out and God blesses him and says very specifically, be fruitful and multiply and fill up the earth. This is the same commandment that God has given to Adam and Eve as they're leaving the garden. And God will say this again a couple verses later in 9:7. Be fertile then, and increase, abound on the earth, and increase on it. So that's what God has told Noah to do upon getting out of the ark. Be fruitful, increase, replenish the earth, which has been destroyed. But it's not what Noah does. What does Noah instead do? Instead of seeking intimacy with his wife when he gets out of the ark, the first thing he does is he plants a vineyard and he harvests it, and he basically drinks himself into oblivion until he passes out and uncovers himself. He passes out naked inside of his tent, and something unseemly happens with his sons, and that's a whole complicated other story. But for now, the thing to note is that Noah does not follow God's command. And the chapter ends by telling us that Noah lived after the flood for 350 years. Okay, so it's not like the flood ends, Noah gets drunk, a chapter later, he's dead. No, I mean, Noah lives another 350 years after the flood, but he doesn't have any more children. So despite God telling him to be fruitful and multiply, despite God telling him, come out of the ark with your wife, he doesn't. So the question is, what's up with Noah? Why is Noah unwilling, it seems, to bring more children into the world? And why does he instead turn to alcohol? Well, it's not hard, I think, to empathize with the position that Noah is in. He comes out of the ark and everything he knows is gone, right? The world is destroyed. Surely there are dead animals, dead people, everywhere he turns. It's a scene of utter destruction. And Noah, how could he not be suffering from a kind of post-traumatic shock? Instead of running out and being fruitful and multiplying, Noah seems to think to himself, I can't bring children into this world. Look what happened. Look what happened to all of life as we knew it. He's too sad and despondent. and shocked and traumatized. And Noah really never gets over it. He lives 350 more years, but his story comes to an immediate end. We don't get told what happened during that time. We just hear that he doesn't have any more children. But it seems like they were not 350 good years. It seems like coming out and witnessing the tragedy that he has lived through, it's too much for Noah to carry. But, says Torah, here we are, there are still people, so somebody must have been fruitful and multiplied. And the answer is Noah's sons and their wives. And from them, says Torah, humanity descends. And so we have to look to them, to the next generation, as a source of hope. They are able to do what Noah can't. They too see the destruction, but they are able to go on and to embrace life and to move forward and to repopulate and replenish the world. I think it gives us grist for the mill to think about. One hears a lot these days, talk to younger people, and there are many who say, I don't want to have children. Look at the world. What kind of world will I leave for them? With catastrophic climate change looming over us, and we doing far too little, our generation, to leave them a vibrant, beautiful, thriving world. But we need to leave them a world. And we need to look to them for hope, just as Noah ultimately has to look to his children. God promises in the end not to destroy the world again. But of course, God gives us no reassurance that we won't do that job ourselves. Not by the water, says the Midrash, but by the fire next time. And so I pray in this week of reading this story that, oddly enough, is popular among children, and pictures of Noah and rainbows, in preschools and over cradles and cribs. So odd, because it's a horrific story. It's a story of utter genocide, right? And that's the story, but it's not the end. And the end is that Noah's children do replenish the earth, and they find ways to live with hope and to make things better. And so may we find ways to leave our children a world worthy of their lives, and to look to them to teach us how to do that. Keni Hiratzone, this be God's will. Concluding portion of the service, we rise as able for Aleinu in the middle of page 586. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol lateh gedula liotzer bereshit shelo asanu kagaye haratzot v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'nemar V'haya Adonai L'melech Al Kol Haaretz Bayom Hahu Yeh Adonai Echad Ushamo Echad. Please be seated. We're going to continue in a moment with Kaddish, remembering those of our congregation, community, family, and friends, all those we have held dear, those who have died at this season in years past, those who have died in recent weeks and days and months. So I invite all those who are watching online again to type in names of anyone you are remembering for Kaddish, and those of you who are here, feel free to share any names. Chava, for Terry. For Marion Ruth Broom and David Randall Holmes. Zichronam Levracha, may the memories of all those who we have held dear before an enduring blessing. I invite the mourners and all whose custom it is to rise for Kaddish, page 598. Yitgadal, Yitgadash, Shemei Rabbah. Bi'almad, Bivrach Yerutei, Bi'amlich Malchutei, B'chayechon, V'yomechon, U'v'chayei D'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala Ubizman Kariv B'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevorach Leolam Lo'omei Almaya Yitbarach Yishtabach Yitpa'ar Yitruman Yitnaseh Yitadar Yitalev Yitalal Shemei Dekudsha Barichu Le'elam Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'Nechamata Ta'amiran B'Alma B'imru Amen. Yehei Shalom Rabbah Min Shemaya B'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the one who makes peace on high, let peace descend on us, on all Israel, on all the world. May comfort be with all who mourn, and let us all say, amen. I want to thank Shelley, who tonight from a distance is still keeping us technologically connected as we're, getting toward the colder weather, and we have a lot of people at home. I want to thank those who are here, for braving a little bit of a gray, damp evening and coming out and joining us. And I want to especially thank Sandy for bringing her guitar and coming out and playing when it's, again, a little cold and the fingers get a little bit stiff. And tomorrow morning, we will continue with our Shabbat morning service, as always, at 10 o'clock. But we're going to conclude with a song that it's not in the Siddur. This is a new-ish song, maybe 10 years old or so. It's a verse from Psalm 89, verse 3, and then an English commentary of sort on the verse by Rabbi Menachem Creditor. The words are very simple. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, which means the world must be built on chesed, which is compassion and empathy and loving kindness. So in this post-flood world, I offer it as a kind of prayer for our year to come, and all those who are doing so much to heal the world. Olam chesed yibaneh, yada dai 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 dai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yada dai 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 dai. Olam chesed yibane. Yada die 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 die. Olam chesed yibane. Yada die 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 die. I will build this world from love. Yada die 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 die. And you must build this world from love. Yada die 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 die. And if we build this world from love, yada die 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 die. God will build this world from love, yada die 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 die. Olam chesed yivane, yada die 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 die. Olam chesed yivane, yada die 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 die. Yada die 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 die. Yada die 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 die.